Yeah.
is that would have been your first time dealing with this kind of decision from an entrepreneur that you didn't necessarily agree with? Was it because
Well,
you
Shale,
always,
you and I went to the same summer camp that had a particular entrepreneur
dude?
running it
Yeah.
who we didn't agree with everything. So it
Okay.
wasn't the
Never
first
mind.
time, but it wasn't the first time,
You know what
but
I
it was
mean. This
but it
is,
was the first time that counted. Yeah, it was the
and
first
it was
time
the
where
first
it
time that
counted.
counted. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
We were kids at
right.
in the other area, but he was it because it was too focused on. I mean, obviously, you said it was a random kind of amount that you thought he was asking for. Was it because he was focused on the money that you were kind of disillusioned, or was it something besides that?
That's a really good question. As I reflect on it, this is very long ago, so my memories of it aren't vivid. But the way my emotions remember it was I was doing all the work. I mean, he put up the money and he paid for it, so I don't fault him for it. Was his property, but he wasn't really negotiating from any position of any objective valuation
Like
or
there was
anything. It
no
was like they said, "We'll
educated.
give
He
you."
wasn't taking an educated guess. He was like being
No, they said, "We'll
completely.
give you $1 million,"
He
and
said,
he
"I
said,
want
"I
two."
want $2
Yeah.
million," and he threw them out of the office, and he got angry and he got emotional. And I think and he'd been emotional a number of times, which thanks to the experience you and I had at the summer camp, I was able to deal with. I had already had my experience in dealing with an emotional entrepreneur, but I was disappointed. I was very disappointed, and I realized that he wasn't going to make decisions that were consistent with the decisions that I would make. So I started to look for another job, and I found one. It wasn't hard at the time, um, and yeah, I thought that thing had come to an end for me.
Okay. And you know, as we go through this and we watch your career kind of unfold, that is kind of something that has happened. You've been pretty good at knowing when things are over and when you want to move
Hmm.
on to something else. And
Yeah.
certainly, I guess the next step after this, and we obviously we continue learning, right? This is your first real experience in this kind of thing, and obviously back
Hmm.
in the early '90s, you don't have a wife, you don't have a
I was
family
engaged at the
to
time.
worry
I
about.
was
Yeah, I
engaged,
mean,
but yeah,
we exactly, but
but
you know what I
yes,
mean. There was
it
no,
didn't matter. Yeah,
it didn't matter if you were making $20
right.
an hour. It was like, this is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to do. This is how I'm building my knowledge base and I'm building my
yeah,
experience base. And that's where we
right.
were all basically there in our 20s.